Exploring the collapse of the Soviet Union. Summary. The collapse of the Soviet Union was observed at the end of the 1980s and considered a blow to the revolutionaries' hopes. This event resulted in the formation of a new world order as it changed the lives of the population. The break brought complete changes not only to the social life but to the political system, and economic and spiritual development of many countries. Causes of the Soviet Union collapse. Soviet Union's demise resulted in the creation of 15 completely independent countries. One of the main causes of the collapse was economic. It can be explained by the fact that the USSR had a weak economic position internationally. Economic factors turned slowly into psychological and political ones. The poor condition of the Soviet market could not but influence the moral and material state of the people, being depressed and aggressive. Besides, the spread of false information among the population made people live in a world of lies and secrecy, leading to negative political and economic consequences. The significance of all these factors continued to increase with every passing year and resulted in the Soviet people's alienation from the general atmosphere of the Russian Empire. Life norms provided at that period resulted in strikes, clashes, and an increase in the crime rates. It brought wide confusion to the population of the former Soviet Union. The empire was about to face rapid changes in all aspects of social, political, and economic life. The Soviet collapse changed the national view on the order of life and governmental policy. It made everyone realize a different side of living and working. This historical event influenced the lives of many countries in the world and left a mark in the memories of those who suffered these disastrous changes at that time. Effects of the Soviet Union collapse. The effects of the Soviet Union collapse could have been observed in every aspect of social life. It resulted in the fact that the heads of every independent country tried to concentrate power only in their region. The fall of the Union exposed the weakness of communism and the increase of the principles aimed against human nature. The collapse is considered to be one of the biggest events of the 20th century, which was regarded as an inevitable one. The immediate consequences seen by the population of the former USSR were social instability, homelessness, and unemployment, a complete change in the legal system of many countries, shortages of basic commodities, the increase in disasters, and difficulties in long-term planning. It should be stressed that the general situation was considered to be really devastating for ordinary people. Even nowadays, many try not to think about those times of instability and poor living conditions. The first effect of the Soviet Union's collapse covered social life. People were in complete despair because of the conditions they had to live in. The lack of jobs decreased the opportunities for ordinary people. They could not find normal housing for their families, and this led to the social dislocation of the whole community. The collapse took away people's hopes for normal life and national stability. Children could not get sufficient education, and adults had no opportunities to properly support their families. Secondly, as a result of the collapse, authorities did not have much respect in the eyes of society. The overwhelming of law enforcement resulted in its replacement by local private security and self-defense. Such a situation led to an environment where the universal law was completely ignored. The third point concerns rapid changes in social life, sharp shortages of medical services, food, fuel, water, electricity, and gas. Electricity began to function only in 1995 when plants received fuel. People suffered from the scarcity of different consumer goods and inadequate transportation. Countries of the former Soviet Union were enveloped by hyperinflation and mass unemployment. This was happening simultaneously with violence, confusion, and despair. The further point concerned the emergence of different disasters of big and small magnitude. The population faced rationing of basic care and the failure of infrastructure. Besides, it was impossible to make long-term plans. Some large-volume projects could not even be considered. All existing successful adaptations were regarded only based on infrastructure and inventory existing at that time. People had no chance of expecting the fulfillment of any innovative technological program. As Malkhasyan writes, the first year after the collapse we got a wood-burning stove. We burnt everything that would burn in it but wood, we couldn't afford to buy it. Nevertheless, despite all the hardships faced by the population after the Soviet Union collapsed, the present situation differs from that of the past. The economy turned from a negative point into a positive one, which functions perfectly in comparison with the 20th century situation. Nowadays people cannot recall those days without sadness and anguish. Today we have an opportunity to go freely abroad and enjoy all the conveniences, all the difficulties with the shortages of food and services softened, and this environment can only be contrasted to the one experienced after the USSR collapse. Conclusion. The Soviet Union was considered one of the unbroken world superpowers, but its time was over when it collapsed. The system of life values was changed and replaced by the new ones. This event was inevitable for the country and the people suffering it. The collapse of the great country influenced the situation in the whole world. People experienced dreadful conditions trying to find proper work and a place to live for themselves and their families. The politicians say that the Soviet Union was aware of such a course of events since all the factors developing in the political and economic system were the background for this. One cannot but agree that the collapse of the Soviet Union worsened the lives of people living at that time but improved the future situation. The rehabilitation policy made many people experience inconvenience and instability, but this process changed the future of many countries, making them independent and stable. The economic situation resulted in international cooperation and led to prosperity and peace in the nations of the former Soviet Union.